I got into filmmaking when I was very young. I started, my first film was when I was 14 years old. I had a 8mm camera, and I started to make little fiction films with my brother and friends around, and quickly it became like a real passion. And so I continue forever. And then at one point, you know, when I was 16, I won like a prize for the best film in the region where I was. And from then on, you know, I was making films, and I was studying to become a lawyer. And then just before entering, I did the colleges, and then just before entering university, I got an offer from television to come and work in television. And I was really debating because I wanted to be in politics, or you know, and making film was also a real passion. And finally, I just decided. I said, okay, I think I'm going to follow my passion, and I accepted the job. And so I went to work with this television station, and that's how I started. You know, I worked for them for a year, and then after a year, I decided that okay, I had a good experience here. I want to move on. And I started to work with the National Film Board of Canada. That was in the 70s. And then I had another passion, was traveling. So, and in between, I would take contracts with the National Film Board for like 5 months, 6 months, and then I would go traveling on my own, you know, everywhere. And finally, you know, it's just, my real passion was to mix the two, the traveling and, you know, the filmmaking. And that's how I started, you know, to make documentaries, because that was really these two passions that I wanted to mix together and to continue doing this. So. You know, for the film You Don't Like the Truth, 4 Days Inside Guantanamo, you know, when the verdict from the Supreme Court of Canada came in July 2008, my friend Patricio Enriquez gave me a call, and he said, did you see on television, you know, this clip that they showed from this interrogation of Omar Khadr? And I said, I just watched it too. And he says, you know, Luc, we have to do something. And I said, absolutely, absolutely. I'm appalled, and you know, and it would be, we have to do something. And right away we decided that that's what we're going to do. So we gather, and the election, the federal election was coming up, you know, in the fall, and we decided we need to do something very quickly to denounce our government. You know, the conservative government in all this issue, it was awful. And we said, okay, let's try to do something very quick that we can put on the web. And so what happened is we called our friends that we work with usually, and we said, listen, we have no money, we want to do this, just to be as a citizen, to be participating in the election and denounce, you know, the attitude of the government. So are you willing to help us to make this little film? And everybody said, absolutely, absolutely. So for us, for a couple of months, we work, you know, we put together like a little 15-minute films that we put on the web. But as we were working on this little film, we realized, you know, the potential of this film, because, you know, as we were making it and researching it even more, we saw like there was a wealth of information, a wealth of stuff that it was absolutely fascinating. So we decided, hey, let's try to make a feature films with this in a proper way. Proper way meaning that let's try to get a television and the financing in Canada to be able to make this film. So that's what we did. After it was on the web, that was for the election, it was viewed by people, you know, all over. But then we approached Radio-Canada in French, and we said, we have this project, are you interested? And they were interested. So, you know, we were like very thrilled. We got some money for the research, and we started to do the research. And the research was really to find characters, people that knew Omar Khadr. Because the basis of the film is really the 8 hours of interrogation that happened in Guantanamo in February of 2003, when Omar Khadr was interrogated by agents from the Secret Service, the Canadian Secret Service. We knew that we wanted this interrogation as the main thread of the film, but we also wanted to talk to people who can verify, certify, or add to what we're seeing to give us a better understanding of what's going on. So we had a bunch of people that we wanted to approach, ex-prisoners that were in cages with Omar Khadr, a torturer that we knew could talk to us, and his family, his lawyers, his American lawyers, military, and so a bunch of people. So we did the research. And finally, we were ready to film. And at the last minute, the Radio-Canada told us that, well, you know, because of financial restrictions, and we're pulling out of the project. So the project was dying. It was just before we were starting to film, and it was dying. And really, at the last minute, you know, I have a very good friend who has some money, and you know, and he was asking me about the film, what was going on with this film, because he felt that it was a very important film. And I told him, I said, listen, we're not doing it anymore because we have no more money. You know, they just pull out of it. If you don't have a television, and only Radio-Canada wanted to invest at the beginning. All the other ones they refused, you know, like the National Film Board of Canada, you know, Telefilm. Everybody just said, no, Télé-Québec, we're not touching this. Everybody was kind of very frigid about this film. And finally, this friend told me, he says, listen, I think you should make this film because this is a very important film and you should make it. How much does it cost? And this guy lent us the money to make the film. And I told him, I said, listen, we want to make this film, but at the same time, if we don't have a broadcaster, I'm not sure I want to make it because it's so much money that I don't want to make a film that we're going to be watching in our living room, few people, and it becomes ridiculous. So let us work a little bit harder to find a broadcaster that doesn't need to put that much money, but would give us a window anyway to show it. And we found Canal D in Montreal, and Canal D they were extraordinary. They jumped in and right away. They gave us a small license, but that was enough to start. And so that gave us the wings to start the project. And we worked for 2 years on this project. And at the end, you know, when Canal D saw the film, they were really impressed. They really liked it, and they were kind of embarrassed of the license that they gave us. So they doubled the license, and after that, the film, you know, for Patricio and I guess it has been the most successful film we ever made. You know, and it went around the world in more than 60 festivals. It was broadcasted in several networks around the world. And the story, for us, what's so great, it's the story of Omar Khadr was told to so many people. And it's been incredible. And of course, Cinema Politica, who took the film and did the tour with the film, which for us is fantastic too. So at the end, it's a fantastic story for us. It was extremely difficult to start with, but at the end, I think the film had a great life and still continue to have a great life. Our experience in making this film, it was that I guess like the people watching it in some ways, because you know, when you're making it, you have this material, these 8 hours of material. And for the spectator, it's kind of easy to watch now, but for us, we had to watch it like hundreds of times. Because if you've seen the film, you see that the image quality is very bad and the sound quality is terrible. So we had to listen over and over and over again to try to understand what was said in that room. So to create the subtitles, to create, you know, like for the spectator that it's going to be easy to understand. And at the beginning, we were very naive. So we wrote to Omar Khadr's lawyer to ask them if they had a transcript of all the interrogation. We thought they would have it, you know, since they're representing Omar Khadr, and we never got an answer. And later on, we became really good friends with the lawyers, and they told us, no, that never they had a transcript. And not only that, they're using our transcript, you know, and they realized there was stuff in it that they didn't understand. But because we took so much time listening to it and repeating it, you know, so that we were able to really understand, you know. And so that was a big process. And what we did, the way we structure this, is we really started with the interrogation, what we thought would be the essence of the interrogation. So we did a first lineup of all the parts that we thought they were like essential. And then from there, we decided that in the concept of the film, that we want the spectator and we want the people who's going to be interviewed for this film, we want them to be like behind, in the room, but behind this window, watching and listening. So that's why when we approach all the people being interviewed, we took with us a computer with the video clip, and we knew some of these guys that they were witness at that period of the interrogation. In a sense, like, I'll give you an example. One of the ex-prisoners is Australian, and we knew that that guy, he was the guy to whom Omar Khadr talked after the first day. We knew it was him. So we showed him this part in the film when Omar Khadr, the second day, doesn't want to talk anymore, you know? And the agent from CSIS is asking him, he says, listen, you've been talking to someone. You've been talking to someone, you know, I'm sure. And so why is it? So we showed this part to this Australian ex-prisoner, and then when he's watching it, and we're filming, of course, and he said, hey, that's me. He was talking to me. So we wanted that kind of relationship between the character and the people being interviewed. So as you see in the film, everybody's watching a screen. Everybody's watching the same interrogation as a spectator. So, and right from the beginning, because of the nature of the footage, which means that the screen is split in four, like security camera, we knew from the beginning, in terms of the style of the film, that we wanted to keep that. So a decision was made that we wouldn't play with that four screens. We would leave it there as the raw material, and with the sound the same thing, because that's the material that we got from the Supreme Court. And then we made the decision that never were we going to use a full screen, even with the characters being interviewed. It's all going to be in boxes like we see in a security camera. So the concept was pretty quick to adjust. And to be honest, it took some time to make the film, but it was not a difficult film to make, because everybody we approach, you know, except for the politicians like Colin Powell and, you know, the director of CSIS, these guys, they refuse. But everybody else, when we approached and we said we want to make a film about Omar Khadr, everybody said, absolutely. If it's for Omar Khadr, we want to be part of it. So that was kind of easy. And even the structure of the film, because it's a very, in this case it works. It doesn't always work, but in this case it works. It's a very linear, you know, approach to filmmaking, because we go with there were 4 days of interrogation, so we go first day, second day, third day, fourth day, and we just followed the evolution. So the structure was already there. Of course, there was a lot of, you know, with the interviews, a lot of mixing and that kind of stuff, but in terms of structure, it was kind of easy. It was not too difficult to do. Well, when I was young, I wanted to make feature films, fiction. And I don't want to say I'm lazy, but I realized that, you know, so complicated to work with 100 people. And, you know, it's such a big machine. It's so much money. And the second thing, too, is I realized that, you know, because most of my films, they were made abroad. And because I was, like I told you, I wanted to combine this love of and this passion of traveling and filmmaking. And I realized what I love the most is that intimacy with people, you know, and to be able to go and to have a story and very, very close to people, and in a sense where you, it's a total different experience. And just researching for a documentary, going somewhere and have the privilege of entering many doors that you will never have as a tourist. And so for me, it's fantastic. And sometimes I say, now I have after the research, now I have to make a film. I have to share this. But the experience starts there, you know, and it's wonderful. So, and I guess political and social documentaries, you know, that's, it's my, perhaps still to this day, it's my passion. Making films is fun, but at the same time, I want to say something that is relevant to me, and hopefully relevant to other people. You know, so I'm still very idealistic, and I say, listen, if I can share some of my understanding or what I witnessed in the world, fine, and whatever you get, you get. But I know that I got a lot out of it, and primary, you know, I'm doing it for myself as a human being, you know, and all these issues that I touched upon, being violence against women in India, or AIDS in Thailand, or human rights in Turkey, or whatever, you know, for me, it's an incredible experience, and I totally enjoy it. And then when I make the film, I just want to share it with other people and take whatever you can, or you want to take. And so, but this is it comes from that passion of sharing also experiences. You know, this past year, I've been with Patricia. We've been traveling around the world with the film "You Don't Like the Truth." We were invited in many festivals, and at the same time, I'm teaching. This year, I decided I will spend time doing some more teaching. So for the last 5 years, I've been teaching in Cuba at the International School of Cinema and Television in Cuba. So I teach documentary, research in documentaries. And this year I've been also teaching in India. So I spent a couple of months in this winter, and I'm going back in the fall. And so that's a main component for this year. And at the same time, in India, this fall I'm producing a Bollywood video clip, a 4-minute video clip with dancing and singing. I'm producing this with an Indian crew, one of the best filmmakers, directors in India. And I'm doing this with a foundation here in Montreal called One Drop, and they work on water issue. And we want to create a song, a very commercial song on water, but that has something that people can retain and can be touched by and can change some behavior. So it's a huge challenge, but at the same time, I'm very excited. It's going to be my first experience with Bollywood, with that dancing, and so I'm really looking forward to doing this. So nice experience. Well, I have to say that right now in Canada, making documentary is becoming a very difficult thing to do, very difficult thing to do, and because you know we have a government right now, the Conservative government, that doesn't really believe in culture, and is cutting everything that, you know, culture is something that you know, we can pass. You know, let's pay the debt, and let's you know, we can cut in many things, and this government is doing it. And so he cut a lot of financing with the National Film Board of Canada, with Radio Canada, with CBC, with so many. So right now there are fewer and fewer projects being made, and so it's very fragile right now. And I know a lot of people that they don't work anymore in documentary. They left their production companies because they can't make a living anymore. So it's more and more difficult, I have to say. And a lot of people now are doing it on their own, really, on their own, and with almost no financing. And this is something that is very sad, because we cannot forget, you know, it's like, example, the BBC, they make wonderful documentaries, but at the same time, they have a lot of money, and they do a lot of dumping also. You know, when RDI shows a documentary from BBC, and that costs $1,000 for them to fill 1 hour of airtime, you know, of course, it's more than that to produce our own documentary here. But having our own documentary here, it's a Canadian perspective on things, when it's abroad or when it's here. And that's why it's important that we have this culture of documentary in Canada, that we just don't buy documentaries from the US, from you know, from France or from other places. We have to have our own voices. And so that's why documentary is so important. And distribution, it's always, you know, it's always frustrating in a sense, you know. It's just we need network that helps us. even though you go to cinema, you know, there are very, very few documentaries that makes it in cinemas. People always say, oh, we love documentary, we love documentaries, but they're not really willing to pay $10 to go see a documentary. They will choose a Hollywood film. And so we have television, and television is important, and we need television. If we don't have television, where it's going to go? And in any case, to be financed, you need a broadcaster. And if you don't have one, you're not getting any money from the other one, from Sodec or Telefilm. So this is something that we need. And I sure hope, and that with a change of government, that we're going to reinstall a politic about making, you know, arts, culture, and also for film, you know, for documentaries. And it's a real need at this point, you know. Well, Cinema Politica for me, I've been a couple of times with my previous film also, and I think it's very important because, you know, you're reaching an audience that is not always so easy to reach, an audience that doesn't look that much on films on television, or so, and you have a nice platform there where you can gather a bunch of people, and also what is great for us is to be there also to discuss. And I remember with one of another film that I've made, you know, I was there with a psychologist because my film was dealing about post-traumatic stress disorder. And so this exchange between the students, and not only the students, but the people there, but mainly the students and the director or a specialist, I think it's wonderful. And it's certainly part of creating a culture for documentary, for these young people also to see documentary as a real tool for change, and also as a tool for understanding and for education, and also political awareness. So for me, this is like a fantastic tool and a beautiful network that hopefully will live for a long time. And I think for all of us documentary filmmakers who are making social and political documentaries, this is a must. You know, this is a must, and we wish you long life.